It is now official. CNN projects that Donald Trump has been elected president, defeating Vice President Kamala Harris and making a political comeback unlike any in modern American politics.
This will truly be the golden age of America.
We're not sure why they picked this song. For Melania Trump's entrance, this astrological Taurus flashed a peace song.
But we're going to usher in a new golden age of American success for the citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed.
In the Bible, we are told what has been will be again, and that there is nothing new under the sun.
The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun.
Let's look at the supposed previous Golden Age. According to Wikipedia, the Golden Age was associated with the god Saturn. It is also said that Astrea also ruled. According to Wikipedia, Astrea will one day come back to Earth, bringing with her the return of the utopian Golden Age. In March of 2024, the United Kingdom revealed its new sovereign nuclear warhead named Astrea. The Golden Age was presided over by the leading Titan Cronus. Cronus, according to Wikipedia, was the Titan known as Father of Time. The elements he is usually shown carrying is the harvesting scythe, an object normally shown being carried by the character called Death, and an hourglass representing time. In this Economist magazine cover from November 2024, we see all the elements mentioned in the Wikipedia page discussing the previous elements of the Golden Age.
This will truly be the golden age.
According to Wikipedia, during this age, peace and harmony prevailed. Over the course of many years, there has been media produced that show Donald Trump with the dove of peace, such as magazine covers, these temple coins that commemorate the Abraham Accord that Trump was involved in, and a coin commemorating himself and King Cyrus, whom is renowned for giving the decree to build the second temple in the Bible.
But we're going to usher in a new golden age.
A history-making day at the White House with the signing of the Abraham Accords. The agreement normalizes diplomatic relations between Israel and two Arab nations, the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain.
We're here this afternoon to change the course of history. After decades of division and conflict, we mark the dawn of a new Middle East. Thanks to the great courage of the leaders of these three countries, we take a major stride toward a future in which people of all faiths and backgrounds live together in peace and prosperity.
The shaman told me that actually the best thing happened in this planet right now is the Trump to be the president. I said, how is this possible? It's the best thing to happen. He said, yes, because he's so irrational, he's so crazy. That's actually create that awakening, that we finally wake up. Because before it will be another guy and everything looks similar. But he's so different than anything else. So he's the magician who waking us up. So he's the magician who waking us up.
Donald Trump is on the line. I mean, we know him as the man behind lots of real estate in Manhattan. And of course, Donald, I understand you were actually a witness to what happened this morning.
Well, I have a window that looks directly at the World Trade Center, and I saw this huge explosion. I was with a group of people, and I really couldn't even believe it. And even, I think, worse than that, for years I've looked right directly at the building. I'd see the Empire State Building in the foreground and the World Trade Center in the background, and now I'm looking at absolutely nothing. It's just gone, and it's just hard to believe.
Listen, why don't you come work for me?
What do you have in mind?
Silence of the Lambs. Silence of the Lambs. That's Hannibal Lecter. Did you ever hear of Hannibal Lecter? Hannibal Lecter. Did anybody ever hear of Hannibal Lecter? Hannibal Lecter. Anybody ever heard of the wonderful Hannibal Lecter? Hannibal. That's Hannibal Lecter. Anybody ever hear of that nice gentleman? Fine gentleman named Hannibal Lecter. Did anyone ever hear of the late, great Hannibal Lecter?
In the Bible, Jesus makes reference to his followers as the sheep and himself as the good shepherd.
My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd giveth his life for the sheep. But he that is an hireling, and not the shepherd, whose own the sheep are not, seeth the wolf coming, and leaveth the sheep, and fleeth, and the wolf catcheth them, and scattereth the sheep. The hireling fleeth, because he is an hireling, and careth not for the sheep.
You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian. I love you. Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good you're not going to have to vote.
What do you have in mind?
That's Silence of the Lamb stuff. Silence of the Lamb stuff.
Silence of the Lamb stuff. Silence of the Lamb stuff. That's big stuff.
Silence of the Lamb stuff. That's serious.
May we move forward together seeking to build a future that reflects the will of God and his values based on the 7 Noahide laws.
What are the Noahide laws? According to Wikipedia, in Judaism, the 7 laws of Noah, otherwise referred to as the Noahide laws or the Noachian laws, are a set of universal moral laws which, according to the Talmud, were given by God as a covenant with Noah and with the sons of Noah, that is, all of humanity. According to Jewish law, non-Jews, Gentiles, are not obligated to convert to Judaism, but they are required to observe the 7 laws of Noah to be assured of a place in the world to come. Of the 7 laws, the first law states not to worship idols. According to Wikipedia, Judaism sees the worship of a person as a form of idolatry, which is forbidden. Therefore, considering Jesus divine as God the Son is forbidden.
Whosoever therefore shall confess me before men, him will I confess also before my Father which is in heaven. But whosoever shall deny me before men, him will I also deny before my Father which is in heaven. Whosoever denieth the Son, the same hath not the Father. But he that acknowledgeth the Son hath the Father also.
Jewish law makes it very difficult to apply the death penalty. It is thought that the rabbis included discussion of them in anticipation of the coming Messianic age. According Sanhedrin 56a, for Noahides convicted of a capital crime, the only sanctioned method of execution is decapitation.
And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus and for the word of God, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands. And they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years.
At this point, I'm going to add another source for your consideration from someone who called themselves David Goldberg. David stated he had a whistleblower inside the White House who was leaking to him various stories and documents on what was to come.
I have an insider who has been speaking to me and giving me information. For months now, I have posted many videos. I have been threatened. I talked about this months ago. I was in the hospital. I believe I was poisoned. This is very, very serious. But I feel like no one is listening, no one is paying any attention. I have been right about everything. I have been right. Every single one of my videos is giving you information that you cannot get anywhere else.
There has been much speculation around David. Whoever he was, some of what he was talking about did come to fruition shortly after his video.
I need an insurance policy. If people do not get my information out there, they will kill me, and they will take away my YouTube channel.
It was alleged that David was shortly found dead after the release of what was to become known as his final video release, and his YouTube channel has now been deleted.
What I was given from the White House insider, the main part that you really need to know, though, is they have a plan for all of this. Now, I'm going to talk about what is the purpose of the whole operation, and the purpose of this is to put out truthful channels, to attract people to them. They call it Tag, Track, and ID. Project Pogo and Project Zypher are the two projects that the classified documents are referring to, and each has a different role. Project Pogo is about the YouTube gatekeepers, how they are all agents. They are all paid to put out truthful information so that they can tag, track, and ID the people that are watching the videos and giving them likes and giving them comments. They're tracking all of it. Project Zypher is a different project, and that's what I'll talk about in a bit. That is the second stage here. That is coming up. and that is the extermination. They're going to exterminate these people, whether it is tag them for anti-Semitic speech, charge them with crimes.
This evil anti-Semitic attack is an assault on all of us. It's an assault on humanity. And those seeking their destruction, we will seek their destruction. And when you have crimes like this, whether it's this one or another one on another group, we have to bring back the death penalty. They have to pay the ultimate price.
Eliminate them completely, and this is where I'll talk about in the documents where they talk about guillotines.
Today, I'm also directing the Department of Justice to propose legislation ensuring that those who commit hate crimes and mass murders face the death penalty.
A free speech case in Virginia challenges a realtor's right to post Bible verses on his Facebook page. The Virginia Association of Realtors ruled Wilson Faber committed a breach of ethics because his post violated a prohibition on, quote, certain religious expressions.
He can't post a biblical scripture on Facebook to support traditional marriage.
That's the position that's being suggested.
Michael Sylvester with Founding Freedoms Law Center represents Faber and tells CBN News that while this is a violation of free speech, there's a catch.
So it all changed in 2020 when the National Association of Realtors adopted a rule that prohibits anybody from speaking what they deem hate speech.
Those who commit hate crimes and mass murders face the death penalty.
May we move forward together seeking to build a future that reflects the will of God and his values based on the 7 Noahide laws that will unite us all together. Amen.
They shall put you out of the synagogues. Yea, the time cometh that whosoever killeth you will think that he doeth God service. And these things will they do unto you because they have not known the Father nor me.
You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian.
Calling on Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to stop a bill proposed by members of his coalition to make it criminal to tell people about Jesus in Israel. Our Jerusalem correspondent Daniel Cohen is live near Tel Aviv with more. Good morning, Daniel.
Good morning, Allison. Good morning, everyone. A big story just before, days before Palm Sunday, Good Friday, and Easter. Sacred time for Christians. 2 ultra-Orthodox members of Prime Minister Netanyahu's coalition have introduced a bill that would punish believers for sharing the gospel of Jesus with prison time. United Torah Judaism Knesset members Moshe Gafni and Yaakov Asher introduced legislation last week making it illegal to share in conversation or produce content online, in print, or by mail.
As concerning the gospel, they are enemies for your sakes. But as touching the election, they are beloved for the Father's sakes.
The Bible explains that their eyes are closed, metaphorically speaking, concerning the truth of Jesus Christ.
What then? Israel hath not obtained that which he seeketh for. But the election hath obtained it, and the rest were blinded, according as it is written, God hath given them the spirit of slumber, eyes that they should not see, and ears that they should not hear, unto this day. For I would not, brethren, that ye should be ignorant of this mystery, lest ye should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness in part is happened to Israel, until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in.
One day their eyes will be opened again to the truth.
And they also, if they abide not still in unbelief, shall be grafted in. For God is able to graft them in again. And so all Israel shall be saved. As it is written, there shall come out of Zion the deliverer, and shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob. For this is my covenant unto them when I shall take away their sins.
It is through this blindness as Gentiles receive our salvation.
For as ye in times past have not believed God, yet have now obtained mercy through their unbelief, even so have these also now not believed, that through your mercy they also may obtain mercy. For God hath concluded them all in unbelief, that he might have mercy upon all.
It certainly could be speculated that given his activity, Trump is helping lay the groundwork for the arrival of the Mashiach, or anointed one that they wait for.
Okay. Give thanks to Hashem.
You know, I was cognizant of the fact that since the election of Donald Trump in 2016, you had rabbis who saw him as this Cyrus-like figure. And of course, Cyrus, 500 years or so before Christ, was the ancient Persian king that helped liberate Israel and then contributed to the building of the temple, according to the prophecies of Isaiah 200 or so years in advance. And so when you compare a person to, an icon like the Persian king Cyrus, who is best known among, the Hebrews and among Israel and Judeo-Christianity as that guy that helped them build the temple again after the Babylonians had destroyed it. In Israel, when you use words and when you compare people to something, it means something. They're saying something. They're kind of inferring something. A little over a year ago, a member of the President's Faith Council reached out to me, sent me an email. It's a guy that I happen to know, and he said, I want to talk to you on the phone. And he said, you need to know that a meeting took place here in Washington, D.C., and there were two of the senior rabbis from Israel, Orthodox rabbis from Israel, that came over. They had a sit-down meeting with Donald Trump, Jared Kushner, and a couple of other of the members of the Faith Council were in that meeting.
The memos are White House internal memos that discuss a wide range of things in terms of Trump's meeting with rabbis, discussions with Netanyahu over the phone. And one of the memos says that Donald Trump will have to declare himself king of Israel publicly. This is part of the process for them. When he's going to do it, why they want him to do it, which again is symbolic. It has no strategic purpose, apparently. It is part of the process of the end game, basically, is what I'm saying. So we will see if that happens or not. It sounds ridiculous. I can't imagine him actually saying it. But maybe he will do something like that. We will look out for that in the coming months.
And not long after the video, the media ran stories that Donald had indeed declared himself as the king of Israel.
China's made $500 billion. $500 billion. Ripped it out of the United States. And not only that, if you take a look, intellectual property theft. Add that to it. And add a lot of other things to it. So somebody had to do it. I am the chosen one.
Well, let me ask you, because one of the potential attack lines has to do with an answer you gave to Frank Luntz months ago when you said that you've never asked God for forgiveness. Do you regret making that remark?
No, I have great relationship with God. I have great relationship with the evangelicals. In fact, nationwide, I'm up by a lot. I'm leading everybody. But I like to be good. I don't like to have to ask for forgiveness.
But go ye and learn what that meaneth. I will have mercy and not sacrifice. For I am not come to call the righteous, but sinners to repentance. If we say that we have no sin, we deceive ourselves, and the truth is not in us. If we confess our sins, he is faithful and just to forgive us our sins and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. If we say that we have not sinned, we make him a liar, and his word is not in us.
These rabbis are in the ear of Donald Trump and Jared Kushner specifically to let Trump know that he won the election against all odds because God led him to that point so that he would be an agent, a King Cyrus-like agent, to secondly, not only be a friend to Israel, but ultimately, when the time is right, to speak in favor of the building of the third temple. After Donald Trump announced that the American position is that Jerusalem is the eternal capital of Israel.
It is time to officially recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel.
That's very important that he made that statement. And then he ordered that our embassy be moved there. And right thereafter, Netanyahu got up, and he too, not just the rabbis, he referred to Donald Trump as fulfilling prophecy and playing a prophetic role. And during that great speech, he said, Donald Trump has recognized Jerusalem, la, la, la. And he said, the Temple Mount is in our hands.
Jack Attali, whom helped get President Macron elected and is also close friends with the Rothschild family, has stated the new world government capital will be Jerusalem.
En fait, l'autre nation idéale, c'est une ville qui soit en quelque sorte la capitale planétaire d'un univers. On peut imaginer un gouvernement mondial à Jérusalem. Même si on peut imaginer, rêver d'un Jérusalem devenant capitale de la planète qui sera un jour unifié autour d'un gouvernement mondial.
The Bible refers to another temple being built where the coming world leader it warns about will declare himself to be God.
Let no man deceive you by any means. For that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first. And that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped. So that he, as God, sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. And there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood, saying, Rise, and measure the temple of God, and the altar, and them that worship therein. But the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles. And the holy city shall they tread under foot 42 months.
Judaism connects this temple to the arrival of their Mashiach, which translates to mean the anointed one in whom they wait.
Then, if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect.
As we heard earlier, it was during the Messianic era that they wanted to bring in the Noahide laws. Judaism believes that their Messiah will come during this period to rebuild the temple and return them to what they call their golden age.
But we're going to usher in a new golden age of American success for the citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed.
This article described Donald Trump as America's first Jewish president, and he became the first sitting U.S. president to visit the Western Wall, considered to be a holy site for the Jewish people. The Mashiach, or anointed one whom the Jewish people await to arrive, will have several objectives he needs to complete.
I've come here to meet Yoram Hazany, an expert in the politics and theology of Judaism. Orthodox Jews believe that without this temple, their religious rites are incomplete. So they await the day when their temple is rebuilt.
Is there a Messiah?
In Judaism?
In Judaism?
Jews invented the Messiah. But it's not the same Messiah that most people think about.
Okay.
Because when Christians think of the Messiah, they think of someone who's divine.
Yeah.
They think of, the end of days. What we have for the Messiah is a man, a king of this earth, who's going to bring peace among the nations in this world.
And he will not be divine.
He will not be divine.
And Yoram tells me this mortal Messiah has a very specific to-do list.
According to Jewish tradition, he has 3 things he's supposed to do. Number 1, he's going to reconstitute the Jewish kingdom or the Jewish state. Number 2, he's going to bring peace with the neighbors. And number 3, he's going to rebuild the temple.
Israel was established in 1947, and it was the Rothschild family that helped make that deal come together.
To the big point, which is that this is perhaps the greatest event in Jewish life for thousands of years.
It absolutely makes sense that the family will be helping push to have the third temple built. The Rothschild banking empire has previously helped Donald Trump get out of debt via Wilbur Ross when Trump made some bad business deals.
Well, I used to say, and in fact I think I said in my first book that, and maybe this was foolish, but I really meant it, that someday I'd like to maybe lose everything for a period of time to see who's loyal and who's not loyal. And I frankly found out a lot of things.
Did you find out who's loyal and not loyal?
I tell you what, and you can't guess it. You can't predict it. You think certain people would be loyal no matter what.
Ross ran the bankruptcy restructuring practice at N.M. Rothschild & Sons in New York beginning in the late 1970s. They helped Donald climb out of debt. Wilbur later went on to become Donald Trump's Secretary of Commerce when he became president. In the Forbes article on how Wilbur Ross and the Rothschilds bailed out Donald Trump, it states that Ross reportedly saw crowds pressed against Trump's limo windows to get a peek at the mogul and realized the value of Trump's celebrity.
So that is why Trump is so dedicated to following the script, while performing the way that he does. It appears to be very authentic to his followers. Everything he's done, talking about the wall to the fake news, was scripted from the beginning at around 2014 and 2015.
And I want you all to know that we are fighting the fake news. It's fake.
And according to some of the memos I'm reading, he loved it. They introduced all of this to him and he loved it. They told him the plan. You're going to become president. You're going to say this and this and this. He loved it. He jumped on board. And they promised him great things, especially for his family, if he were to follow through on these things.
Okay, kids, make it fast. I've got a plane to catch.
We've created a magazine. Mr. Trump, we give you Sassy.
As well as this casually displayed sign, a similar message can be found in the 1999 song from Rage Against the Machine called Sleep Now in the Fire. In this music video, you see a placard with the words Trump for president, which happened some 21 years later, just as the sign predicted. According to Wikipedia, Rothschild & Company was founded by N.M. Rothschilds & Sons. Past chairman Sir Evelyn Robert de Rothschild was the personal financial advisor of Queen Elizabeth II.
We must stand with our Jewish brothers and sisters to defeat anti-Semitism and vanquish the forces of hate. That's what it is. And when you have crimes like this, whether it's this one or another one on another group, we have to bring back the death penalty.
Sir Evelyn Robert de Rothschild, along with wife Lynn Forrester, Lady de Rothschild owned a holding company called E.L. Rothschild. This company manages investments in The Economist Group, owner of The Economist magazine. Many of these Economist covers somewhat seemingly are able to predict coming events. This article from 2009 was illustrating an up and coming pandemic threat. This cover seemingly confirming that some kind of vaccine would be used to change your genes, something that was initially denied during the COVID vaccine rollout, of which Trump, whom as we have shown is connected to the Rothschilds, takes credit under Operation Warp Speed. Despite many vaccine injury deaths now having occurred, he still calls this project a success.
Operation Warp Speed is unequaled and unrivaled anywhere in the world.
Everybody wanted a vaccine at that time. And I was able to do something that nobody else could have done, getting it done very, very rapidly. I really had a mandate to get vaccines done, and I got them done very quickly in record time.
Given he was the president when COVID was supposed to have hit the world, it's interesting to see him become president again at a time when the media keep promoting the idea that there will be another pandemic. But it isn't just the media. Many of those in a position of influence also seem to keep stating that they somehow know for fact another pandemic is coming.
We need more money to plan for the second pandemic. There's going to be another pandemic.
And we have to make sure that we're ready because there will be another pandemic. And there's so many lessons about how we weren't prepared, how we should have handled things differently. And
as a politician, I look at the big problems that we face. For example, when we have the next pandemic.
So if we really want to prevent the next pandemic, and there will be one.
The next pandemic. Why are you saying there's going to be a next pandemic, Bill? Why are you putting that juju on us?
Given the message is promoting there will be another pandemic, it's interesting to see the type of people Trump is surrounding himself with in his up-and-coming presidency.
If approved, our next cabinet will include, as Administrator for Medicare and Medicaid, Dr. Oz, a television personality who pushed implantable chips, transgenderism for kids, and pushed the deadly COVID vaccines repeatedly.
Should people have their children vaccinated? Definitely yes.
If approved, Marco Rubio will be our new Secretary of State. He pushed the vaccine and boasted that Operation Warp Speed was a huge success.
You can say a lot of things about the way America responded to the pandemic,
in the early days, the one thing that's without dispute is that no one has done vaccines better than the United States.
If approved, Tulsi Gabbard will be the Director of National Intelligence. She helped get all the older people vaccinated early on.
3 weeks ago, I urged our leaders to put those over 65 years of age at the front of the line for vaccinations alongside healthcare workers and first responders.
And look, I guess in a certain way, I'm the father of the vaccine because I was the one that pushed it. I pushed the FDA like they have never been pushed before.
Despite financially aiding Trump, the Rothschild Economist magazine seems to constantly ridicule him. From these articles, we can see the Rothschilds, who financially bailed Trump out, seem to abide by the Talmud, which Trump also seems to, as reflected by the Noahide speech referenced at one of Trump's 2024 rallies.
May we move forward together, seeking to build a future that reflects the will of God and his values based on the 7 Noahide laws that will unite us all together. Amen.
It seems odd then that referenced in the Talmud under Sanhedrin 107a, it states that
it is better for a person to jump into a fiery furnace, rather than embarrass his friend in public.
Yet despite this, we see a long succession of articles from the Rothschild economists seemingly trying to oppose Trump, or at least try and paint a picture that shows they are against everything he stands for. Yet, if we look at the actions, he supports Israel, which the Rothschild family helped establish. He's seemingly laying the foundation for the Noahide laws, which is featured in the same Talmud book the Rothschilds abide by, and there are other things he seems to align on. On the surface, it seems like they are against him, but if you dig deeper, it almost seems like a diversion, some kind of act.
The Donald is here, live on Monday Night Raw. Hey, look at this! Donald Trump! Donald Trump! Donald Trump taking down Vince McMahon! Oh my God! The hostile takeover of Donald Trump on Vince McMahon has happened at WrestleMania 23.
Based on my reading of the classified documents and the memos, so much of what is going on is planned. They've given people the impression that Trump has brought chaos to politics, but it's actually the opposite. It has been planned. They have promised him his daughter or the sons will enjoy very high-level ranking within the world government.
If this was a diversion tactic, one could question as to why they would do this. What advantage could this serve? To answer this, let's listen to what Albert Pike once stated.
We always give the public their heroes. We give the heroes to every faction, and then people, once they hear this person say all the right things, we give releases to them because he or she speaks for me. We say go there, go do that, and they do it. We give our power to the authorized heroes.
How influential Albert Pike's words are in what's happening we'll investigate further shortly. The Rothschilds are known as a wealthy banking family. Their Economist magazine was setting the stage for a world currency as far back as 1988, with other articles following suit signaling the move to digital currency. The push to move to a digital currency isn't hidden, and we can be sure the banking sector will be helping engineer and direct this from the shadows. This researched article connects the dots to the Rothschilds' involvement in the Bank for International Settlements, whom they themselves openly admit that a move to digital currency system will allow for new levels of control over the population.
A key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability. And also, we will have the technology to enforce that.
Think about the benefits of digital money. There are huge potential gains. It's not just about digital forms of physical currency. You can have programmability, units of central bank currency with expiry dates. You could have, as I argue in my book, a potentially better and some people might see it, or a darker world where the government decides that units of central bank money can be used to purchase some things, but not other things that it deems less desirable, like say ammunition or drugs or pornography or something of the sort. And that is very powerful in terms of the use of a CBDC.
The nature of this CBDC, what is it actually going to look like? They never talk about that. Right. But I heard one European central banker tell me what it's going to look like. And it was around this large and would be implanted under your skin.
So the ultimate goal that these people have in mind is the goal to create a one world government. run by the banking industry, run by the bankers. The whole agenda is to create a one world government where everybody has an RFID chip implanted in them. All money is to be in those chips, right? There'll be no more cash. And this is getting me straight from Rockefeller himself. This is what they want to accomplish. Anytime you have money in your chip, they can take out whatever they want to take out whenever they want to. If you're like me or you, and you're protesting what they're doing, they can just turn off your chip. And you have nothing. You can't buy food. You can't do anything. It's total control of the people.
And that chip's connected to a database that has your purchasing records, what you do, what
everything,
you sell.
Everything is in there, you know? And so they want a one world government controlled by them, everybody being chipped, all your money in those chips, and they control the chips, and they control people, and you become a slave, you become a serf to these people. That's their goal, that's their intentions.
Trump was allegedly against the idea of cryptocurrency, but has since changed his stance and is now openly helped push this technology, adding to the global drive to implement it.
This afternoon, I'm laying out my plan to ensure that the United States will be the crypto capital of the planet and the Bitcoin superpower of the world, and we'll get it done. If crypto is going to define the future, I want to be mined, minted, and made in the USA. It's going to be. It's not going to be made anywhere else. And if Bitcoin is going to the moon, as we say, it's going to the moon, I want America to be the nation that leads the way. And that's what's going to happen.
Elsewhere in the world, we see a push for digital identification. In Australia, we can see the new Digital ID Act is being justified by protecting under 16s from certain content online, and so by having a digital ID, they can tell the age of the person accessing the internet. A similar push is being seen in the UK, coming in the form of the Online Safety Act, with them also now making digital ID mandatory for accessing pubs and clubs.
So this is a completely sensible way to go, and I think you will find right round the world that people move in this direction because it will facilitate the access to government services.
If we look at the framework that's being used in these countries and listen carefully to what Donald Trump is proposing, we can hear he is touting the exact same policy.
The time has finally come for Congress to pass a digital Bill of Rights. In addition, all users over the age of 18 should have the right to opt out of content moderation and curation entirely and receive an unmanipulated stream of information if they so choose. We must shine light on the dark recesses of the internet and stop mass murders before they start. The internet, likewise, is used for human trafficking, illegal drug distribution, and so many other heinous crimes. The perils of the internet and social media cannot be ignored, and they will not be ignored.
The U.S. in May 2025 seems to be getting ready to roll out an ID. All of this seems to complement the goals of the World Economic Forum, which has published several articles on the subject, as well as hint that it will be necessary to move around in the pandemic they all seem to know is coming again.
So let's have a digital health certificate acknowledged by WHO. If you have been vaccinated or tested properly, then you can move around. So for the next pandemic, instead of stopping the movement of the people 100%, which clogged the economy globally, you can still provide some movement of the people.
Elon has been very vocal about his alignment with Donald Trump, even appearing at one of his rallies.
Fight, 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 vote, vote, vote.
He has also been using his platform X to push the justification for what he calls voter ID. Digital ID and digital money seem to add increased levels of control on the population and could very well play a leading role in the beast system the Bible warns is coming.
And he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name.
Trump is also very vocal on the global tensions seemingly building throughout the world. This again is warned of in the Bible.
For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of sorrows.
Another point David Goldberg seemed to keep making was on Trump on Iran. He released an article which he states the information was given to him by his White House insider, claiming the White House was to use 120,000 U.S. ground troops. The following month, the New York Times published an article stating the exact same number of troops were to be envisioned for an Iran attack. It's interesting to see that in recent times, it was states that Iran was involved in one alleged plot to kill Donald Trump.
Everything they're talking about with Iran is totally fake. It is a staged post-flag war they are starting. I have given details. I have told you what they're going to do in my other videos.
I had Iran. They had no money. They were broke. Now they have $300 billion. They made it all in 3.5 years. I said to China, if you buy oil from Iran, you can't do business in the United States anymore. Plus, I'm going to put 100% tariffs on everything you do send us, okay? So remember this. They weren't buying anything. Nobody was. Iran was broke. And I want to say this to Iran, because they're listening and, you know, they've got their ways. They would have been happy. Everybody would have been happy in the end. Everybody would have been happy. Iran would have been happy. They just can't have a nuclear weapon. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. If they do, it's a whole new world order.
Every day, more and more about Iran. It is so obvious what they're doing, and people and Americans don't get it. They will cheer it on. They will cheer on their own destruction.
Several times it's mentioned in the Bible that Jerusalem is seized by Gentiles.
And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. And there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood, saying, Rise, and measure the temple of God, and the altar, and them that worship therein. But the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles. And the holy city shall they tread under foot 42 months.
If we look at Islam's own prophecy, it is Iran who seemed to help play a role in this.
Black standards will come from Khorasan, Iran. Nothing shall turn them back until they are planted in Jerusalem.
If some people believe you're the only person who can stop this war because
I think you're right.
Prime Minister Netanyahu listens to you.
Yeah, he does listen to me. And, you know, it's so sad to think that if I were president, that war would have never started. You wouldn't have all those dead people, all those, you know, just demolished cities and areas. You wouldn't have had October 7th. That's the most important. You wouldn't have had that. And all of the destruction and the hatred and everything else that followed October 7th.
In another strange turn of events, as we've seen already with the Rothschild Economist magazine and various media showing Trump with a dove representing peace, the Rothschild-backed Economist magazine seemed to make another somewhat prophetic insight with one of its covers in 2012 called A Quick Guide to Hell. Here, Hamas attacking Israel using a glider. On October the 7th, indeed, Hamas attacked Israel using a type of glider. According to a now deleted Wikipedia page that gave a timeline of events for the attack, it stated that the following day, an incredibly significant event took place. Israel formally declared a state of war under Article 40A for the first time since the 1973 Yom Kippur War. 300,000 reservists are called up, the most in the nation's history. Its declared aim is to eliminate Hamas's military capabilities and end its rule over the Gaza Strip. This, it stated, came into effect on October 8th, or also known as 10/08. It is then equally incredible that for many years, a lot of display watches have been set to display this exact date that Israel made the declaration of war on.
We are very close right now to a world war. When you look at what's going on with Russia, Ukraine, we're spending billions of dollars. Now they want offensive weapons so we can go in and hit Moscow and this. Let me tell you, we're very close to a world war.
For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom.
If we look at the original Greek word for the word nation, it comes from the word ethnos, which is used to describe a foreign race or tribe. This indicates there will be a clash of cultures and racial violence. In Islam's prophecy, it states,
Before the Safini appears, a sedition will arise in the Maghreb, North Africa, and spread in every direction such that no party or group could protect itself from it. Disorder, strife, and fear will emerge in the Maghreb, West. Strife will proliferate. A kind of corruption will surface from which no party will be able to protect itself and spread immediately in every direction. This situation will persist until one comes and says, "O people, from now on your leader is Imam Mahdi."
What is now dubbed a migrant crisis by the media is very apparent. There has already been many culture clashes with regards to border crossing, not all of which is reported by the media. The increase in numbers continues to rise across the West, just as the Islam prophecy stated would be happening and just as the Bible warned was coming. Viktor Orban, Prime Minister of Hungary, recently rustled feathers when he stated the migrant crisis was being financed and driven by George Soros.
I do remember how Mr. George Soros published his plan in English in a Project Syndicate publication. It was done 2015. This he said very clearly, 2015, that, quoting again, EU has to accept at least 1 million asylum seekers annually. That was the first point. Second, he said, adequate financing is critical. And he proposed to issue long-term euro bonds for financing the migration crisis and the migrants' social and welfare taking care when they arrive to the European Union. And another point which is very important for Hungary, which is involving the territory of Hungary directly into this program, he said that, quoting them, safe channels must be established for asylum seekers, starting with getting them from Greece and Italy to their destination countries. So we are fighting again an organized gang called Empire of George Soros, NGOs, who are just supporting everybody who is transgressing our legal system and our regulation, and financing illegal activity against our nation. So this is why the story is not just about migration, but it's about how this European Union is working and how George Soros was able to captive the main positions inside many institutions of European Union, buying out MPs and other leaders, and in order to execute the plan which is written, and it's against all the Christian and nation-based political forces.
George Soros, we can see, is a member of the United Nations. The United Nations is also funding this migrant crisis, as recently revealed by this article in the New York Post.
We don't have money, and they haven't deposited my account. ¿Cuánto te depositaban? El depósito el 7 de enero a 14 de enero, pero no depositan nada. So the whole month of January you haven't received anything.
What were they supposed to receive in there?
¿Cuánto es lo que te dan? Es el último pago. ¿Cuánto fue? 4 el dinero, 3,600 pesos. 3,600 pesos was the last payment I received.
And it goes. Does that go into your bank account?
¿A dónde va? ¿Tienes una cuenta? ¿Una tarjeta? Sí. ¿Tienes?
Oh, let me see. And how much is anything on that card now at all? Any money?
Dinero? No hay dinero. No hay nada. No depositan nada.
The Rockefellers played a lead role in helping establish the United Nations, as discussed in this Politico article. The Rockefeller family make no qualms about wanting a one-world government.
We are grateful to the Washington Post, the New York Times, Time Magazine, and other publications whose directors have attended our meetings and restricted their policies of discretion for almost 40 years. It would have been impossible for us to develop our plan for the world if we had been subject to the bright lights of publicity. But the world is now more sophisticated and prepared to march toward a world government.
These men aim to create a world system of financial control in private hands, able to dominate the political system of each country and the economy of the world as a whole. In short, they seek total and quiet control of the entire world.
We can see the Rockefeller family works in partnership with the Rothschild family. And as we saw earlier, the Rothschilds are the ones that bailed out Donald Trump.
Well, I never thought I was that far from bankruptcy, but a lot of people were giving me a hard time. You know, the incredible thing is you can't really tell. You can't really tell who's going to be there, who's not.
The Rothschild family financed a yacht which the article covering the story stated that their vision was plain for all to see. The artist featured on the wind sails is Cleon Peterson. Cleon would have been chosen specifically for the project by the Rothschild family, whom would have been well aware of his other pieces which feature horrific acts of racial violence and scenes of bloody murder. His artwork is the definition of hate crimes, and yet one of the world's richest families connected to Donald Trump commissioned him to design their yacht.
The shooter in El Paso posted a manifesto online consumed by racist hate. In one voice, our nation must condemn racism, bigotry, and white supremacy. These sinister ideologies must be defeated. Hate has no place in America. Hatred warps the mind, ravages the heart, and devours the soul.
In this video, we've shown how the Bible warns there will be race and culture clashes and how Islam's own prophecy confirms their involvement. I'm sad to say there is more evidence that seems to point to this.
The southern border of the United States is wide open, and the federal government has been conducting a wide-scale criminal operation of flooding the country with unvetted foreigners, distributing them across the United States, and providing them with homes and financial support. The GOP's talking point has been that this is all about election fraud, but this has been happening all across the Western world for over a decade. This is something far more sinister than election fraud. The Population Division of the United Nations concerns themselves with international migration. In the year 2000, they published Replacement Migration, a solution put forth to deal with declining and aging populations. For years, we were told that this was a conspiracy theory, but now that we are seeing tens of millions murdered by the experimental shots, it is becoming more clear what the objective is. We are told that these are poor families fleeing tyranny, but there are massive amounts of healthy young men without any families. And time again, we have seen them act violently against the native population, with very little repercussions from the law. As we are expecting the announcement of Disease X and another lockdown, a recent report from UK's Jim Ferguson provides a plausible explanation of what we are seeing.
This isn't normal. There's something not right. This isn't just refugees coming in. These aren't people fleeing from some kind of war zone. These are predominantly men aged between 25 and 35, young fighting-age men, as my old boss Nigel Farage once referred to them, and I think he's right. John, what do you think's going on here, mate?
So I can tell you these are UN soldiers, and they will be deployed by the WHO when they announce the next pandemic lockdown. That's what's going to happen. They've been trained by British soldiers. They've been trained by the Black Watch Regiment. They were training them in Antalya in Turkey and in the east of Ukraine. They're predominantly down to sergeant ranks. They're then shipped to France. They all sign the Official Secrets Act. Then they're ferried over. If you were fleeing war and tyranny, I don't know about you, but I would certainly take my wife and children with me. They're most precious. They're my prized asset. You know, they're everything to me. If you're going to war, you go to war with the lads. They're going to be deployed. They will be deployed.
And this statement is confirmed by a migrant themselves.
Sorry, my friend. Sorry, what was you going to say?
It's okay, no problem. So we know, actually we are military guys. Actually we are military guys. And we have worked with your army and special forces there. And we have worked with your army and special forces there. And we have families back.
Earlier, we referenced Albert Pike and questioned how influential are his words in today's world. 200 years ago, he penned out a letter that outlined a plan for 3 word wars which would help bring in the New World Order and, as he states, the worship of Lucifer. The first 2 wars happened exactly as the letter stated. The third war will involve a battle against Islam.
The Third World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agenda of the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of Islamic world. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and political Zionism, the State of Israel, mutually destroy each other. We shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism. This manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. Then everywhere, the citizens, obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries, will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, and the multitude, disillusioned, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out in the public view.
Lucifer is another name for Satan. Satan is also referred to as the dragon.
The great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world.
And just like Albert Pike's letter for the three wars stated, the Bible warns the world will worship him and the coming world leader.
And they worshipped the dragon which gave power unto the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him?
And it's not just Albert Pike stating that the world will come to worship Satan, or as he is called, Lucifer. David Spangler, whom was part of the United Nations Planetary Citizens Group in the 1970s, stated in his book that
Lucifer comes to give to us the final gift of wholeness. If we accept it, then he is free and we are free. This is the Luciferic initiation. It is one that many people now, and in the days ahead, will be facing, for it is an initiation into the New Age.
There is also another connection to Lucifer and the United Nations. The Lucas Trust has consultative status with the Economic and Social Council of the United Nations. Lucas Trust resides at the United Nations Building Plaza, so has an office on site with them. They were initially a publishing company called none other than Lucifer Publishing Company, Lucifer being another name for Satan in the Bible. In their own documents they state, the angels have ever been active in biblical history and will again enter into the lives of human beings with more power than has lately been the case. The call has gone out for them again to approach humanity. They will also teach human beings as individuals and as a race to expand their consciousness to include the superphysical. In the accomplishment of this, the separating web, the veil of the temple, which divides the physical plane from the unseen world, will be recognized as a fact in nature by the scientist. This purpose will be acknowledged. Eventually, it will be destroyed by man discovering how to penetrate it. The date is imminent.
And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth.
If we look a little deeper into whom Albert Pike was, the one who outlined the plans in the letter was a prominent member of the Freemasons and Scottish Rite, according to Wikipedia.
Altion Jurek, best known as Altion Childs, is an Australian performer who topped the charts after winning the second season of X Factor Australia in 2010. On April 15th of this year, Altion published a 5-hour video claiming he was initiated into the Freemasons and that Freemasonry is hiding the true world religion, Satanism. 33rd degree Mason Manly P. Hall, who was named Freemason of the Century, wrote that Freemasonry is a religion and that initiates are intentionally misled until they reach the highest levels. He wrote that Freemasonry is an outer organization concealing an inner brotherhood, one visible and one invisible. The invisible is dedicated to the service of a mysterious arcanum arcanorum. Having a belief in a supreme being is required to become a Mason. And the atheist is looked upon by the Mason as being the most vulgar and despicable of mankind. But who is the supreme being in Masonry?
Freemasonry is Satanism in disguise.
33rd degree sovereign grand commander of the Scottish Rite, Albert Pike, wrote in Morals and Dogma that Lucifer is the light bearer. 33rd degree Mason Albert Mackey wrote that Lucifer is good, light, victory, and initiation. And 33rd degree Freemason of the century, Manly P. Hall, wrote that the mystery of the craft is the seething, surging energies of Lucifer that can be wielded by the initiate.
There is no sin. There is only nature. Why do you think that witchcraft has disappeared? It never disappeared. It was hidden, forced to go into hiding by the appearance of Jesus on the human scene. Another reason why he's passionately hated.
33rd degree Mason Aleister Crowley wrote how he pecks at the eyes of Jesus on the cross, how the New Age will arise from the destruction of Christianity, and how all children shall be accustomed from infancy to witness every type of sexual act. We are witnessing the culmination of their mysterious arcanum, the destruction of Christianity and the mass sacrifice of humanity. Created in 1979 by the Masonic Order of the Rose Cross, the first Luciferian commandment carved into the Georgia Guidestones is to maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. High-level Mason Friedrich Nietzsche wrote how Christianity is more harmful than any vice, and considered Christians sick animals. Their utopian New Age, as written about in the Satanic Bible and in the Lucis Trust, consultants to the European Union, is nothing more than the absolute destruction of Christianity.
The Shriners act as an appendant body within Freemasonry. Membership is open to men who have been initiated as Master Masons in a Masonic rite.
Tell us, first of all, what is the Shriners and what is the significance of that fez?
Well, you'll see the men in the shrine parades and the shrine circus wearing their red fez. In order to be a Shriner, you have to reach the highest degrees of Freemasonry, either the 32nd degree of the Scottish Rite or 13th degree of the York Rite, and then you're allowed to go into the shrine. And sadly, many Christians have gone into this, which is hard to understand, because in order to be a Shriner, in the initiation, every Shriner takes a blood oath of allegiance to Allah as his God and Muhammad as his prophet.
Now, are you kidding me?
No. And in light of 9/11, you got to wonder, how can any Christian take a blood oath of allegiance when God absolutely forbids that in the Ten Commandments?
And yet they're not even allowed to pray in the name of Jesus at the lodge, are they?
No. But you swear allegiance that Allah is your God, Muhammad is your prophet. You are then given this red fez with the Islamic sword and crescent encrusted in jewels on the front of it. And you'll see men wearing this. And people say, well, why do they wear the red fez? It is because if you study history, during the 7th and 8th century, as the Muslims swept across North Africa, they came to Fez, Morocco. And in Fez, Morocco, there was a large community of Christians. And Muhammad had ordered the slaughter of all the infidels, meaning Christians, who would not bow down to Allah and Muhammad as the prophet. And the Muslims went in with the Islamic sword, and there in Fez slaughtered thousands of Christians. And then they took their Fez hats, and they dipped it in the blood of Christians, glorying in the defeat of Christianity. And that's why the Fezes are red, representing the blood of Christians defeated by the Islamic sword, which they have encrusted in jewels on the front.
We can see the Shriners logo encapsulates the Islam symbol of the moon and the star, as well as a sword called the scimitar. This sword features on the murals of Denver Airport, known as the New World Airport. This mural shows a bleak future involving a scene that seems to describe what is warned is coming in the Bible. The airport is renowned for its somewhat occult and apocalyptic artwork. A rainbow in the sky, possibly tied to some chemical release, a hazard mask representing a biological attack, dead babies, children with no parents and dead doves, a bird that normally symbolizes peace. In the Bible, we are warned.
And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of sorrows.
We have worked with your army and special forces.
There are other things in the past that show a group has been pre-planning world events. This map, published in Philadelphia in early 1942, outlined the post-war New World, created by Maurice Gomberg. This title refers to a New World Order, and the source of this map is the Library of Congress Geography and Map Division, Washington, D.C. The Irish Mirror ran an article on the map and stated the following. An Irish historian has stumbled on an amazing world map predicting the borders of new countries, 70 years before they were drawn up. The eerily accurate 1941 chart reflects American thinking during the Second World War and shows plans for the creation of the EU, dubbed the United States of Europe by mapmakers. And the State of Israel, which did not come into being until 1948, is also marked as Heberland on the U.S. State Department map. Historian Thomas Moriarty stated that either the U.S. State Department could see into the future or they planned to redraw the world. John Coleman was the former MI6 intelligence analyst who turned whistleblower. In the 1990s, he released a book called Conspirators' Hierarchy: The Story of the Committee of 300. This book outlined the plans of the coming New World Order. A PDF copy of the book can be found on the CIA website for free. In his book it states,
"The United States will be flooded by peoples of alien cultures who will eventually overwhelm white America, people with no concept of what the United States Constitution stands for and who will, in consequence, do nothing to defend it, and in whose minds the concept of liberty and justice is so weak as to matter little. Food and shelter shall be the main concern. Rival factions and groups such as Arabs and Jews and African tribes shall have differences magnified and allowed to wage wars of extermination against each other under the eyes of NATO and UN observers. The same tactics will be used in Central and South America. These wars of attrition shall take place before the takeover of the one world government and shall be engineered on every continent where large groups of people with ethnic and religious differences live, such as the Sikhs, Muslim Pakistanis, and the Hindu Indians. Ethnic and religious differences shall be magnified and exacerbated, and violent conflict as a means of settling their differences shall be encouraged and fostered."
The Rothschild family are mentioned as being involved several times in the book. Trump had initially spoken out on the border crisis as a situation leading to a terrorist attack.
That you always say is that it's 100% certain that we're going to have a terror attack, and I agree with you on that. It's 100% certain. I mean, we're letting terrorists into our...
I pray I'm wrong. I pray
we're letting
God
terrorists
I'm wrong.
into our country at a level that we've never seen before.
The migration entry is linked to H-1B visa, which Trump has seemingly shifted his stance over.
Nobody knows the system better than me. I know the H-1B, I know the H-2B. Nobody knows it better than me. I know the H-1B very well, and it's something that I frankly use, and I shouldn't be allowed to use. We shouldn't have it. Very, very bad for workers. As we speak, we're finalizing H-1B regulations so that no American worker is replaced ever again. H-1Bs should be used for top, highly paid talent to create American jobs, not as inexpensive labor program to destroy American jobs.
Why did you change your mind on H-1B visas, sir?
I didn't change my mind. I've always felt we have to have the most competent people in our country. We need competent people. We need smart people coming into our country. And we need a lot of people coming in. We're going to have jobs like we've never had before.
But sir, you said...
His view that was announced after his recent election win now reflects that of the United Nations Agenda 2030 immigration document, which states, recognizing and increasing the contributions of migrants to communities and countries, particularly their positive effects on GDP growth, which are mostly felt through increased demand, higher productivity through improved allocation of skills in labor markets over the long term, and other mechanisms. There seems to be an asserted effort to paint a picture where Trump is some kind of lone ranger in which he is the hero that will free the people from this oppression, which seems to be reflected in some of his speeches.
Here's my plan to dismantle the deep state and reclaim our democracy from Washington corruption once and for all.
He has pledged to push back on what the world now refers to as the woke agenda.
On day one, I will sign a new executive order to cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, transgender insanity, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content onto the lives of our children.
These agendas are coming from the very people he has ties to.
Very special Congratulations on your 50th year hosting the annual meeting of the World Economic Forum, a truly amazing achievement. It's an honor to address the distinguished members of this organization.
We can see that the World Economic Forum has a partnership with the United Nations. We can see how closely aligned all of these organizations are. The World Economic Forum is incredibly proactive with what is classed as the woke agenda, and they have no qualms in stating that they actively push this agenda through the media.
The Partnership for Global LGBTQI Equality, which is also known as PGLE. And PGLE was launched right here in 2019 and is a project of WEF and the UN Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights. We work with the news, business, entertainment, faith leaders, sports, governments, and individual activists from around the globe to ensure and educate public people on LGBTQ issues and move policy forward.
It's an honor to address the distinguished members of this organization.
Normalizing LGBTQ folks, including us in all stories. So that's the other piece that I think is really important. And we've worked really closely with Hollywood on this.
We're going to stop woke. Woke is bullshit.
Elon Musk, whom has played a big part in Trump's re-election campaign for president, employed World Economic Forum member Linda Yaccarino to be the chief executive of his X-Corp. The pair of them directly connected to the very organization whose agenda they pledged they want to try and stop.
Consider fighting the woke mind virus, which I consider to be a civilizational threat.
Head of the World Economic Forum Klaus Schwab openly advocates for a new world order.
With such concrete proposals and ideas of how we can really create, I would say, a new world order.
We all know, but still pay insufficient attention to the frightening scenario of a comprehensive cyber attack.
In an age when so much of our lives are conducted online, cyber attacks must be treated as a serious threat by our leadership at the highest levels.
Whoever wrote this needs somebody to take the fall.
You've created a virus that's going to cause a worldwide disaster.
And they're about to take the blame.
A hacker planted the virus.
But it's the perfect cover.
We're being framed.
That means making clear and publicly who is responsible for the attack and taking meaningful steps to hold them in account.
You wanted to know who I am, Zero Cool? Well, let me explain the New World Order. Governments and corporations need people like you and me. We are samurai, the keyboard cowboys, and all those other people out there who have no idea what's going on are the cattle. Moo. I need your help. You need my help. Let me help you earn your... Well, let me explain the New World Order.
With such concrete proposals and ideas of how we can really create, I would say, a new world order.
New World Order. A term that is pushed by many globalists and seems to show just how lockstep the country heads are in making this happen.
Lead in shaping a new world order for the 21st century.
We've got to accept that this is the new world order.
Never before has a new world order had to be assembled from so many different perceptions.
It's a whole new world order.
From my reading of the documents, how they're going to roll all of this out and justify the dissolution of the United States and many other countries as well, it appears their plan is to do all countries at once. He's going to be under the cover of financial collapse. Well, we have to do the world government. We're all going to die because the financial system is broken down. That is something that is talked about in the classified documents. That ultimately will be the cover story after they do the purge and eliminate the dissidents, the people who are woken up to Zionism.
A new world order seems to be another phrase for the Golden Age, the Age of Aquarius, or the Great Reset as it's sometimes called.
This will truly be the golden age of America.
We're not sure why they picked this song. For Melania Trump's entrance, this astrological Taurus flashed a peace sign.
The sign of Aquarius is known as the water bearer. The Sumerian god called Enki has some very interesting ties to all of this. Enki was the god of water and was also known as one of the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki creation story mirrors what the Bible warns as to how the giants came to be. Angels from heaven came down and mated with the women on earth, who in turn gave birth to the giants. According to Wikipedia, the Anunnaki had tremendous physical size. This is interesting to note from the fact that, as established earlier, Trump and the Rothschild pivot around the Babylonian book called the Talmud, which is where Noahide laws come from, which is why they are not found in the Bible.
May we move forward together, seeking to build a future that reflects the will of God and His values based on the 7 Noahide laws that will unite us all together. Amen.
The Talmud contains a prophecy that states the fallen will return, and it will come at the time of when they expect their Messiah, who is not Jesus, but the world leader the Bible warns is coming, and whom gets his authority from Satan.
And they worshipped the dragon which gave power unto the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him?
As we reviewed earlier, the last golden age was connected to the Titans, giants residing on the earth. This was connected to the Titan called Kronos, who carried the harvesting scythe, an object normally shown being carried by the character called Death. According to the Book of Enoch, the giants became evil spirits upon the earth, whom will rise up against humanity.
And now the giants, who are produced from the spirits and flesh, shall be called evil spirits upon the earth, and on the earth shall be their dwelling. And these spirits shall rise up against the children of men and against the women, because they have proceeded from them.
Which seems to confirm a similar warning given in the book of Revelation.
And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird.
If we look at Enki again, we can see he is called the Lord of this earth. The Bible calls Satan the god of this world,
in whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ, who is the image of God, should shine unto them.
Enki's name also means house of water, which is very symbolic of the age of Aquarius, the symbol of the water bearer. On the Atta seal, Enki is depicted with 2 streams of water flowing into each of his shoulders. Aquarius is also shown as pouring water from his shoulders. In the Encyclopedia of Mythology, it states that Enki was called Lord of the Sacred Eye, that is to say, he whom nothing escapes. He also presided over men's work, carpenters, stonecutters, goldsmiths venerated him as their patron. In this Freemason ceremony from 2017, we see the all-seeing eye of the Illuminati pyramid inside the compass of the Mason symbol, exactly as reference to the so-called god named Enki.
Okay, define Lucifer for me.
Pure, virtuous, wholesome, innocent individual that's out to help people.
Lucifer is?
Yeah.
Say that again. Lucifer is a pure, holy...
Virtuous.
Virtuous. Now, is he the Lucifer that God created?
That's the same one.
Enki then is simply another name for Lucifer, or as the Bible also calls him, Satan. And he seems to be very connected to the age of Aquarius, the golden age or great reset that people are touting. This is exactly as the Bible warned was coming.
And they worshipped the dragon which gave power unto the beast.
There have been some interesting covers that exhibit a theme connected to water, some featuring Trump referencing his famous "There's a Storm Coming" speech.
You guys know what this represents? Fellowship. Remember, it's the calm before the storm.
What's the storming?
Could be the calm before the storm.
This very catchphrase used many times in movies.
There is a storm coming! Like nothing you have ever seen! And not a one of you is prepared for it!
It was revealed that through some online World Bank documents, it was stated that COVID was being funded until March 2025, which makes this Rothschild-associated cover from The Economist magazine even more interesting. A tidal wave, crimson in color with a COVID symbol outline, and the title being Exit Wave. It is alleged that Aleister Crowley wanted the Antichrist to arrive in a baptism of blood.
Aleister Crowley was convinced that the Book of the Law was going to bring about the son of perdition and eventually the end times. In fact, he referred to this by invoking something, these world wars, so that there would be mass blood sacrifice and what he called baptism of blood for the son of perdition.
We are on the threshold of the new age. The new man will go into the future, and the rest of us will perish. We will not be allowed into the future. If we are, it will be as slave labor until we are no longer useful, and then we will simply be exterminated.
This Eurovision performance from Madonna in 2019 shows some very apocalyptic scenes. People in masks, women faces like they're at a funeral, scenes of fire and destruction, buildings falling down, the Statue of Liberty destroyed, and the dancers wearing an Israel and Palestine flag on their back while she points at the audience and sings "Not Everyone is Coming to the Future."
Not everyone is coming to the future. Not everyone that's here is gonna last. Not everyone is coming to the future. Not everyone is learning from the past. Not everyone can come into the future. Not everyone that's here is gonna last.
In a 2001 PowerPoint from NASA scientist Dennis Bushnell, it talks how they could sink a ship offshore and detonate it to produce tidal waves. The presentation, although presented in 2001, was addressing a time that was circa 2025. The presentation mentions 6 times an event which they refer to as after next, but never seem to reference what this event is that will lead to an after next period. It also talk about capturing and torturing Americans in living color on primetime TV, which it calls the CNN effect. This has been stated as something Donald Trump has wanted to do, as shown in his speeches and press releases.
Ensuring that those who commit hate crimes and mass murders face the death penalty.
A murderer was captured this morning and tried today.
Guilty.
Sentence, death. Execution tonight at 6, all net, all channels.
The Economist magazine, whom are known for making incredibly accurate predictions of events, released an article called "A World in Turmoil Awaits Donald Trump in 2025." We've seen 2025 referenced several times already, and that particular year is mentioned elsewhere as a significant milestone to the New World Order agenda. There was, of course, the Deagle report that was removed from online, linked to a private military contractor for the U.S. military that forecast a major depopulation event to be occurring in 2025 in Western countries. Lucas Trust, formerly Lucifer Publishing, whom are linked to the United Nations, was founded by occultist Alice Bailey. In her document, called The Next 3 Years, she noted 2025 as a significant year that things should have taken rapid shape for the plans of the occultists. In her book called Section 4 Stages in the Externalization of the Hierarchy Part 2, she again references that in 2025 the date in all probability will be set for the first stage of the externalization of the hierarchy. Looking up the meaning of the word externalization, it states that the act of expressing feelings, especially bad feelings such as anger, or something that expresses these feelings. The United Nations, whom we know are connected to Lucas Trust, formerly Lucifer Publishing, announced in February 2024 that the world is now in an age of chaos.
And so our world is entering in an age of chaos.
Age of chaos. On the official Freemasonry community website, they state one such motto of there is order from chaos.
And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword.
We're very close to a world war.
The official Lucas Trust website also makes reference to year 2025 in an article titled Towards 2025. They talk about a gathering that they believe occurs between deities, including enlightened beings, which will result in significant changes to humanity. The article continues, suggesting it is a good time to ponder what a new spiritual dispensation might mean for a post-2025 world. Researcher Malvin Artley states that Alice Bailey referenced the year 2025 a total of 15 times in her books, which were intended to be study guides for disciples and initiates up until 2025, when a new round of teachings are set to begin dispensation. According to the 2025 initiative Preparing the Way website, it states that year 2025 will launch the events of the millennium in which the Aquarian civilization is due to emerge into manifestation. The One World Religion headquarters opened in 2022 in Abu Dhabi. The construction was launched by the document on human fraternity, signed by Pope Francis. The location a church, a mosque, and a synagogue. This article points out that the UAE is a Muslim country that embraces Sharia law, which teaching that Jesus is the Son of God can be subject to imprisonment for 5 or more years. It states that to add to the confusion of this attempt to bring understanding and tolerance, Sunni Muslim leader Sheikh Amin al-Tayyib, who is widely touted as a moderate Muslim, strongly believes that Muslims who convert from Islam to any other religion, including Christianity, should be killed. One wonders then why the Pope, the Vatican being believers of Jesus, has come aboard the project. Times magazine called Pope Francis the New World Pope, and we can see the Pope has formed a partnership with the Rothschilds. He is also a registered author and contributor to the World Economic Forum. The day after Trump was confirmed as winner for the presidency starting in 2025, Elon Musk tweeted out Novus Ordo Seclorum, which translates to the New Order of the Ages. This motto can be found on the reverse side of the Great Seal of the United States of the $1 bill, under what has become known as the Illuminati Pyramid All-Seeing Eye. According to Wikipedia, the phrase derives from the 4th poem of the Eclogues by the Latin poet Virgil. The 4th Eclogue contains the passage,
"Now is come the last age of the Cumean prophecy. The great cycle of ages is born anew. Now returns the maid, returns the reign of Saturn. Now from high heaven a new generation comes down."
We can see the reference made earlier to the reign of Saturn and that a great cycle of the ages are born.
This will truly be the golden age.
It states that from high heaven, new generation comes down. We heard earlier there was some sort of intended commotion to be orchestrated with Iran.
Everything they're talking about with Iran is totally fake. It is a staged post-flag war they are starting. I have given details. I have told you what they're going to do in my other videos.
Taking then this reference of a new generation coming down from the heavens and this reference of the Trump administration and Iran, this prophecy from the book of Enoch makes interesting reading.
And in those days the angels shall return and hurl themselves to the east upon the Parthians and Medes. They shall stir up the kings, so that a spirit of unrest shall come upon them, and they shall rouse them from their thrones, that they may break forth as lions from their lairs and as hungry wolves among their flocks. And they shall go up and tread under foot the land of his elect ones.
Parthians and Medes are today's Iran, and the prophecy talks of the angels are to return, the angels being, of course, from heaven originally. It's then interesting also to note then, in December 2020, we saw an article stating that former Israeli space security chief says extraterrestrials exist, and Trump knows about it. He called this particular alien group the Galactic Federation.
Aliens exist, and President Trump knows about it. That's according to Israel's former space security chief. In an interview with an Israeli newspaper, he said the aliens have been waiting until today for humanity to develop and reach a stage where we will understand in general what space and spaceships are. NBC News chief global correspondent Bill Neely explains this one.
Hi, Alison. Well, this is quite a story, and it comes from the man who headed Israel's space security program for nearly 30 years. Chaim Eshed is making the extraordinary claim that the United States and Israel have been in contact with a group of aliens for years, not immigrants, but extraterrestrials. He has called them the Galactic Federation of Aliens, and he says President Trump is aware of the existence of these aliens and had been on the verge of revealing their secrets.
In the UFO circles, their full name is known as the Galactic Federation of Light, as seen being referenced by these various articles covering them. Which should be no surprise given the Bible warns that Satan masquerades as an angel of light.
And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light.
It's also interesting to note that the poem, what is referenced as a prophecy, states,
"Yet do thou at that boy's birth, in whom the iron age shall begin to cease, and the golden to arise over all the world."
If we look at the biblical prophecy, we actually see something quite different. The Iron Kingdom is mentioned as in the poem, but it is not another golden age that comes next. It's the last kingdom before Jesus comes and destroys the kingdoms of the earth and takes his place as rightful ruler. In fact, the Bible warns the following about this coming kingdom, which is not golden at all.
And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided. But there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, forasmuch as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. But they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed. And the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever.
So we can see this is the final kingdom, and it's not golden. This is the kingdom, then it would seem the biblical world leader we are warned of will rule when he comes to power, the one who gets his authority and power from Satan or Lucifer, as he also known just as spoken of in Revelation.
And they worshipped the dragon which gave power unto the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations.
If we look at the poem, it continues,
Holy Lucina, be gracious. Now thine own Apollo reigns.
According to Wikipedia, in ancient Roman religion, Lucina was a title or epithet given to the goddess Juno, and sometimes to Diana. We can see Lucina is equated with the Greek goddess Artemis, which is the name of the new NASA missions to the moon. Also, Lucina is goddesses of childbirth who safeguarded the lives of women in labor. This is interesting in the fact the Bible regards these end times as labor pains and makes reference to this several times in the Bible as one of the signs to watch for.
For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be earthquakes in divers places, and there shall be famines and troubles. These are the beginnings of sorrows.
The original Greek word for sorrows means something akin to childbirth. Going back to Wikipedia on Lucina is Latin for light. We have mentioned already about Satan masquerading as an angel of light, also the alleged alien group called the Galactic Federation of Light, and of course the Illuminati who worship Lucifer, who to them is the light bearer. Many false light references tie this together.
I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark, gothic MAGA.
The word MAGA in other languages is connected to magic, sorcery, illusions, or a wizard. Now, in English, the word mage is an archaic word for magician or sorcerer coming from the Latin word magus/mega and Greek word magos. According to a Wikipedia on the Church of Satan, the term mega is often associated with members of the 4th and 5th degrees.
Trump is the best thing happened ever to us. That he is the magician of the highest order. That he is there in his irrational mind to create confusion in order that the human being can find new order.
It's a whole new world order.
Israel 365 News reports what Trump's election means for the Third Temple. And I quote, Rabbi Yosef Berger revealed some amazing aspects of Donald Trump's victory in the recent U.S. presidential election, most notably his potential role in building the Third Temple. As a spiritual descendant of Rome, and that's what he's calling Trump, the nation that destroyed the Second Temple, Trump has the potential to do a tikkun, fixing the sin of Rome, and returning the glory to Western society. Trump's election is a necessary element of the redemption and a sign of the Moshiach, Messiah, that he's imminent. Rabbi Berger said, this certainly does not mean that Trump will be the Messiah, but it's an indication that he will play a role in preparing the way for the arrival of Messiah.
All right, now let's stop, take a deep breath.
I want you to let everything resonate with you. And now we've got to discuss, where is all this leading? Biblically speaking, prophetically speaking, then all of this is making sense to me. Because again, things have to go forward for us to bring about the fulfillment of Bible prophecy in regards to the introduction of a leader in the last days that will rise to power. And again, I'm not talking about Donald Trump, but there is coming a man, the Bible calls him the Antichrist. And Daniel saw him, and Daniel saw in the last days that this man, whoever this is, that will rise to power, will broker a covenant of peace. He will come along and he will confirm Daniel 9:27. He will confirm these treaties that have all been brought forward. Now think about everything that's going on and what we talked about. You've got the Middle East with Israel across 7 fronts. You've got Russia, Ukraine, all that stuff that's going on in Europe. Who knows what's going to happen if Trump pulls support away from Ukraine? NATO gets involved. Again, they're saying World War III is at the brink. So you got all this going. So the whole world is longing for peace.
So hopefully peace will come to the Middle East.
It's going to come to the Middle East, and hopefully within my term. Hopefully I'm going to win, and I'll bring peace. I'll work with Mohammed, and I'll work with a lot of other people, and we're going to bring peace.
So eventually, again, there's going to be all these peace negotiations made, and then here comes your Antichrist, again, coming on the scene to confirm a covenant with many, many nations. Not just Palestine, not just Iran, but many, many nations across the world. Again, confirming a covenant with many for 7 years. So where is this all leading, guys? This is leading right down the path that has been foretold for thousands of years. And I leave you with Luke 21:28. Jesus said, when you begin to see all these things coming to pass, look up and lift up your heads, because your redemption is drawing near.
This election will be the end of the world.
This will be the end of the world.
It's the end of the world.